How to get shredded in 12 weeks. This is another Gorilla Platoon transformation that we are going to talk about, so you can gain the value and the intent in which we did, extract it, put it into your own transformation, and get the same result. So if you're sat in a similar, or you're soon to be in a similar starting point to this guy, then this video is definitely going to be for you. If you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergey. I run the Gorilla Platoon, which is an online physique transformation program where we get results like this on a weekly basis, which is nice. So let's move forward to the main title of this video is how to get shredded in 12 weeks. That is going to be my promise to you that you're going to know how to do that by the end of this video. So the first thing we need to do when getting shredded isn't understand your start point. This is what scale weight you sat at and what is your body fat percentage. Then you also need to take into consideration what is your activity level. Now, for the best way to establish this, I've got my own calorie calculator which I've made. What I would do if I were you is I would just put your data into a calorie calculator, and I do this 2 weeks out from needing to start the transformation, because what you're going to do with that 2 weeks is collect data on where you're really sat from a maintenance calorie standpoint. So you will go on there and it will give you a rough figure, a rough amount of macros, a rough amount of calories. Create the macros yourself. The way you're going to do that, protein. You're going to get your body weight and pretty much do 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you know your lean mass and you were able to work out your lean mass, then you're going to take your lean mass and times it by 2.4. So for this guy, if we took away 17% from 80 kilos, the times that digit by 2.4, that is the amount of grams of protein you need. When it comes to fats, 20% of the overall calorie target, fill the rest with carbs. Now, from there, you're gonna eat that for 2 weeks. You're going to see what your scale weight does, and that will give you data to play off the back of. I obviously have created a calorie calculator and a system to do this faster, so I can get results from the moment they come to me and go, I need results in 12 weeks, let's go. I'm like, cool, send me photo scale weight, and we'll give you the data. We also need to understand what your job role is. We can see here this guy is a PT, which means he's on the gym floor a lot. His non-activity exercise thermogenesis is going to be high, so he's going to burn a lot. You might be in construction, you're also going to burn a lot. So when you have calories, you want to be smart about how you use them for your job role. Now, the reason you can see start on 2,900 calories, that's fairly high, and it is fairly high. What I do with results like this, and also let's just go back a slide. This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. When you have someone that comes to you looking like that, you don't just want to go into a very aggressive calorie deficit, because there is potential that needs untapping here in terms of pulling off body fat, but also, most importantly, building muscle tissue. If you take your food too low, you're not going to have the energy to drive performance in the gym. And the art of this is a body recomposition. This is what we do here on this channel. Build tissue, lose body fat. It can be done at the same time if it's structured in the correct way, which I'll speak about in this video and I've spoken about in many videos before. So you want to start with food high. You can always take from it later. Bear that in mind. And if you've got a high activity output job, you're also going to need a higher amount of food. So for him, we started 10K steps, no formal cardio. That was a tool we're going to use later on. The goal was to get him somewhere around about 73 kg, 8% body fat. But the real goal was to get him to visible, clean-cut abs and have him built a bit more tissue. And that was the goal here. If you look at like his arm and his delt versus what we had here, and the chest, and then obviously bringing the midsection in as well. That was the main goal throughout this transformation. Now, from there, you've got your start point. And this is just a start point based on estimate. What you need to do is run the plan for a week, listen to your body, see what it does off the plan, track the food you eat, track the weight your scale weight every morning, take photos on a weekly basis, track your steps, cardio if you're doing it, but you won't be for week 1, and your sleep. See what result you get. If you don't see any drop in the first week, then make a change. Now, that being said, sometimes, and for the first 6 weeks of this, I wasn't envisioning that he needed to drop a lot. Okay, if it stays flat, you want to still see a bit of a drop. You want to be in a slight deficit, so just below maintenance. You should see the scale weight come down quite quickly. So I'm going to show you what we did to adapt the plan to get the result. Now, in week 1, after the first week, we understood that actually his output wasn't as high as I first thought, and I was able to remove 200 calories. I then repeated the same process again for the next week, because there was also a urgent time frame that we needed to hit. So I actually decided to take away from food. And to be fair, if I was to reflect on what I did, I actually think I overshot the amount of food that was given. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I do that. I'll admit it to you right now on live fucking YouTube. I sometimes overshot it, and I think with this, I did. So I quickly remedied it, took 200 calories away. We did the same again here, and then we wanted to opt to keep things moving. So we added 30 minutes of daily cardio. From there, we were seeing some nice sweet drops, and we then didn't need to make any changes for a whole week. So we ran this protocol for 2 weeks straight. We then wanted to see the next drop off come in, and as you get towards this point here, that is when you want to be going more aggressive, pulling off kilo each and every week to get to the goal. So we removed 200 calories this week, saw the change, saw the drop off. And what I was doing here, which I don't always do, I preempt what's coming next and I slightly make a change beforehand. You don't need to do that all the time, but when you need someone ready for a certain amount of time period, you need to kind of make it progressive and see what change needs to be made and where you can adapt to allow it to progress forward if they've got like a holiday or something they need to be ready for. So we took 200 calories, and the beautiful thing about starting food so high was we were able to see drops, take away food, and him still have a fair amount of calories to eat. So this was nice to just staircase our way down. From there, we upped cardio to 45 minutes daily. Notice how I've not done this till week 6 because it's a lot of time spent doing cardio. If you start with that really, really early and it has to go up high, you're going to be doing 60 minutes daily for fucking 6 full weeks. That's a long period of time. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big advocate of normally keeping food as high as possible, but where I'd actually taken food higher than necessary here, I could pull from that. And of course, if you watch any previous results, these will all be slightly different because you are all different people with different jobs, with different body fat percentage, with different time allocations within the day, with different appetites. So it has to be personal. Of course it does. In order to get this sort of result, we need to make it personal to you. And this is what worked for him. After that, we then started to pull from food again, 120 and 200. No changes in week 9. And then a last bit of aggression to finish. We're up to 60 minutes daily. So we're doing this for 2 weeks. And I just added an extra 2,000 steps as well. Low cost to fatigue, but it comes at a bit more time for the last 2 weeks. And then the final week, pulled off 177 calories. That's what we did in order to progress to the goal. Now, you're going to face some challenges along the way. Main one's going to be social events. So he had a few birthdays to attend to. There was a bit of travel where he had to go back from one country to the next. And we need to factor that in. So let's address travel first. Whenever you're traveling, on all planes, I know this because I travel and I do this, you can take your meals with you. So plan ahead. Do not have the excuse, I had to have the airport meals, I had to eat the fucking plane food, which bungs you up, you've got shit for the next 3 days. Eat and take your own food. That way you know for certain you're going to be on plan. When you go to these new locations, ideally you're not going to travel within your transformation, but I understand things aren't perfect and you may need to travel for work or for business. You get your Airbnb, and then you go there, get all your food shop, cook once and plan ahead. Things need to stay the same. Your consistency needs to stay the same. What I also do to my guys, I give them a guide where it's like, this is your meal plan. This is the equivalent of food that you can go and buy from a supermarket of already cooked items. Make your version of that. Make your version of, this is my meal plan. What would I do if I had to get this meal plan, stick to the calorie amount, and only buy cooked or ready foods to eat there and then? How would I approach this? Because if you don't plan for it, it will fuck you in the ass and you will be 2 weeks behind in progress when all you had to do was a bit of forward thinking and planning and you would have stayed on plan. Social events. You've got the option of banking calories if you really need to eat or drink. But ideally, when you go to these events, you want to look at the menu and be like, I'll just stick to protein options because you can't miss your protein target. But you can pull from carbs to allow for a bit more food there. Stick to protein options. He worked long hours, so prepping his meals ahead of time was very, very important. It will probably be the same for you. One thing I always say to the guys that are within my program is you need to plan ahead. Life will try and fuck you in the ass. If you don't plan for it, it will do so. Which means you map out what you need to do tomorrow, the night before. This means you know what time you're doing steps, training, work, main tasks that need to get done, and maybe even the next time you're going to prep. You make sure you've got your meals and you're good to go. I took this analogy from when I used to be a British paratrooper. The motto was make sure you're in the right place at the right time with the right kit. The same thing needs to be applied to your daily life in order to achieve the goal. And when you do that with a timetable mapped out, you can achieve a hell of a lot within a day that normally would not have been possible. So do that. That is low-hanging fruit. If your organization is not on point, that's going to be half the reason you don't get to the result. Like, honestly, that is a main thing. And I asked when the guys check in to score their organisation at a 5. And if it's not a 5, I'm asking, well, why is it not a 5? What is the deficit? What are we doing about it to make it change? The better organised you are, you will get to the goal. It really is that simple. These transformations are very important when it comes to gym floor performance, but in order to get lean, it is down to your ability to execute proper nutrition in calorie deficit. Calorie deficit is challenging when you're out in everyday world and everything is fucking just stacked with bullshit. It's hard to achieve calorie deficit, so you need to plan ahead in order to do so. Now, what I will also speak about, so we've got your organisation, that is where the transformation is won and lost. And then we've also got your mindset in order to get to the result. You see, most people, when it gets a little bit tough, they will come up with some bullshit excuse as to why they couldn't achieve the goal. But remember, the goal really is the physique, but it's being able to retain the physique long term. And to have anything of any merit, it's not even about the thing itself, it's that you had to become the person to go and do it. So it's nice being a paratrooper and jumping out of planes and wearing the Marine Machine, but it was all about the struggle we had to go through to then be, someone that is able to serve in the paras. The same goes for the physique. It's nice to see the physique when you walk around, but when you see that, people think, this guy's disciplined, this guy can stick to a diet, this guy can train consistently. And that's where it's really won and lost. And I think people forget that when they're trying to get the result, when they're trying to get in shape. They focus on the hack and the tactic when it's not about that. It's honestly, most things in life are about the principles that underpin them. If you can understand principles that are going to get you to the goal, the hacks will take care of themselves. So if you have discipline to the program, you're going to see results. If you can if you could do the hard thing that you don't want to do day after day, you will get the result. If you can be consistent to that discipline day after day, you're going to get the result. If you can be resilient when you had to travel and you were a bit out of whack and things maybe went downhill a little bit, but you jumped straight back to it and straight back on target with the goal, you're going to get the result. But the moment you just focus on the workout routine, the best one for building muscle, you just focus on the food that's going to burn you the most body fat, you're not going to get the result because you're not that guy. You're not being the guy that deserves the result. You're being the smelly guy that's trying to do the cheap hack, shortcut bullshit. If you try and shortcut anything that has merit, you may get it, but you will not retain it long term. You really will. And then it'll be even more painful because you lost something that you had that was good and now you don't have it anymore. And that is so fucking painful to have. So it's not about the hack. Remember that. I will say this a million times on this channel until I'm blue in the face. It is about the person and the traits and the characteristics you had to go through in order to get the thing and then retain it long term. That's what this is about. The transformation, the result, that's the vehicle we use to develop that, because not everyone goes through military basic training and has them drilled into this. I'm well aware of this, but this is a free opportunity that every human being can do. Get in great shape. It's the same equivalent of going through military basic training. It teaches you the same characteristics and you become a better person for it. And you will love and respect yourself a hell of a lot more. When you love and respect yourself a hell of a lot more, you will perform better, you will have higher standards for things in life, and your life will generally just be happier. The moment you don't see yourself as a humanoid piece of shit, your life will be infinitely better. When you have self-respect, self-love, your life will be fucking good. I know this because mine is, and I have those character traits. So that's really what I want you to take away from this video. We know how to get the result. We know the pull calories on week 2 of this much to get this result. Obviously, it'll be personal to you. But the main thing is the underpinning characteristics to get there. So if you agree with my message, subscribe to the channel. If you want me to take you for a transformation, message me on Instagram. We'll get it set up and we will fucking go from there. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.